competitive play. Zephyx, Diamond Elo last season, as you can tell from his portrait, so he obviously knows what he's doing when it comes to being an AD carry. I would be very interested to see how his CS will maybe match up in this against Corki, and especially this Corki. This Corki was absolutely dominant earlier, and the CS is going to be an indication of how well Zephyx deals with those changes to the attack animation, and given enough time, you can get used to any attack animation. Look at people like Warwick. Warwick has terrible attack animation. That's why you even have to glyph him or rune him towards attack speed in order to give him a cleaner attack animation if you want to take him in lane. Both sides, they're protecting their red. They're expecting the invades to be coming out. Actually, Unfadable Gaming might be making a move to group up and invade over the top of blue, but as we saw in that earlier game, and they should have learned if they watched any of the games earlier, that early blue buff ward. They will go over, they will ward their own blue buff, and they will watch for that invade. And it doesn't look like Unfadable is going to try and take this. I think they might have been expecting a red buff invade, as opposed to the blue buff invade that's actually about to happen. And Magnum is just, they were so dominant in their early games. It was night and day, moving from that to some of the later games in the series. And it appears that Corki might be walking face first. He is not even going to check their blue. This is very unfortunate for Unfadable Gaming that they are not checking their buffs. Right up there with ward coverage is the importance of maintaining control of your buffs. Magnum Opus knows that. Look at the ward coverage. They're watching their own blue for the invade. So at this point, they're going to walk away with this with a blue buff and for their jungle and an early blue buff for Ahri, more than likely. And that's unfortunate because it's a game that's, it's game 1 of 5, so there's going to be plenty of room for error, but you don't want to give away a free game just off of something as simple as that. So I'd be very, very interested to see how they deal with this, and I think giving Ahri that early blue buff for Magnum Opus will be the best move to try and keep her dominating on Talon. Already the hook's coming out from Blissey. Did whiff on that. Zephyx did miss his Q on Ezreal. So it looks like it's going to be pretty passive farming down in bot lane for now. At least putting a little bit of poke down on Malphite up top. Malphite's tanky though. She just broke his shield. So he's not taking too much damage from that. In that mid lane, Ahri is just kind of shoving away. She's put a little bit of damage down on Talon. It's nothing significant, nothing that's going to stick for a while, but just enough to keep him, on edge that, he's at a disadvantage. He has to get into melee range in order to last hit creeps. He can't constantly spam his abilities to last hit because that will drain him of mana, and he will not be useful at all when it comes time for the ganks to come out. And actually, we see Elise moving down for an early gank on level 2. And with an Ignite and that ability, I don't know if it's going to be enough. No, the health pot ticking away keeps her alive. And that should give Malphite a little bit of room. He's going to keep that lane frozen and just last it away. They might try and sandwich her. Now she, with her movement speed from being in that form, she's able to get away with no real problems at all. Actually, blue buff, Skarner went ahead and took his own blue buff as well. I guess he's looking for that. They might be looking for that early 6. Skarner is one of those champs that needs to get level 6. He can gank, sure, he's got a slow. It's pretty nice slow, just based off his Q. But you really, really want... oh, that might have been the bad... Okay, it has to burn a flash, but he does get out of there okay. That was almost a bad move, though, on jumping back in on top of Skarner for the silence. Because he had red buff, he didn't need to attack him, he just needed to auto-attack him. Or he didn't need to use a spell, rather. In bottom lane, neck and neck, Ezreal's just a few CS ahead of Corki. No big changes in health. Actually, a stun comes out now from Taric, and with the knockup from Blitz, they're able to get out of there without any real difficulty. However, they do have to burn a few health pots, and that's going to make some of the damage that they're going to do later on before they can go back comfortably. They're going to make that damage stick. And that's really what harassment is all about, is damage that sticks. And here comes a gank now on Malphite. He's got no mana, and remember, Elise does not have Ignite, but I think they're going to have enough damage, and Elise is going to pick up First Blood just inside turret range on Malphite with an assist from Mundo. It was a very, very strong gank, and they managed to pull it off with the Ignite being on cooldown. All it took was the exhaust from Mundo to make sure that Malphite was not going to go anywhere. And actually, here comes a gank now down on Talon. He was trying to get away, but I think that's just not going to happen. And with that kill, Skarner bumps just a little bit closer to level 6. And you never want to get Skarner some assists before he hits level 6, because that's giving him free gold that he didn't really, the way I think about it, works for. You know, when you hit level 6, you have your ultimate, and a lot of times it's almost like a free kill. But if you are giving him kills before he even makes it to level 6, he's getting more than he expected to get. And that's just what happened there. I don't know if picking Talon into a very safe champ like Ahri was the best of moves. But, you know, as the game progresses, it's neck and neck still. One kill all, less than 100 gold difference probably between these two teams. There's nothing too much going in either direction. Ahri did start with a Cage's Lucky Pick and a Doran's Ring, as well as ward pots. Talon picked up a Doran's and a Longsword, just trying to push just a little bit more damage out. Backping's called out for Elise up top. Not sure, but maybe they're feeling like Skarner might be heading up that way soon. Ping's coming out on Dragon for Unfadable. And it might be just for the placement of that ward. Just to let them know, hey, there's a ward here, and we need to get that cleared out, hopefully. Oh, this is not going to go well for... Nope, with an Ignite ticking down, that's just not going to go well for Malphite. He's actually starting to really fall behind now at this point. He doesn't have any of his GP10s. He does not have his MR boots to try and save him from some of that extra damage. Talon did pick up his own blue buff, so it'll help him farm from range. Spam his abilities more, so he doesn't have to get in melee range. It'll just keep him safer overall during this farm phase up against an Ahri who can kind of hit him at range. Down in bot lane, you can see Ezreal starting to pull ahead a little bit. 69 CS to 56, pushing actually onto that turret, and Mundo peeking into the Magnum Opus' jungle gets pushed away by Ahri. Just wrecked. He's forced to pop his ultimate and run away. I would be very interested actually to see Ahri's rune page right now. It feels like she built armor because she's just not taking damage from Talon. Talon is not a big presence in mid, and that's what he needs to be right now. He needs to keep Ahri from farming freely, and that's what she's doing right now. You know, she's up by just shy of 30 CS over top of Talon, and your job, if you want to go an assassin mid up against an AP mid, is you need to shut them down. You know, from level 2 or level 3 on, they need to be completely irrelevant as far as the mid game goes, or as far as the mid lane goes, rather. And that's just not happening, and that's only going to get worse as the game goes on. As you progress through this early game into that mid game, Ari's going to continue to get stronger. With that ultimate, it's going to make her mobile. She's going to be ganking other lanes. If she's not concerned with staying up in CS, she's going to roam to other lanes, just like she is looking to come down bot right now. Actually, no, she's going to go over and she's going to do wraiths, just for a little added CS, I think, before she heads back. She's sitting on a decent amount of gold, but I think she's going to wait just a little bit longer before going back. Down bot, you see Ezreal, Taric, they're pushing this lane in. They want to start the roaming game. They're just really giving out their... And you see, actually, Skarner coming in for a dive saves his ultimate, because Ari's ultimate was just enough to get that kill on the dive underneath the turret on top of that Talon. And as I mentioned earlier, it's only going to get worse for Talon as the game goes on. If he's not able to be relevant and be a force to make Ari feel like she's being pressured. The assassin should be one comboing an AP mid. That's your job, and he's not able to perform right now. He did, however, finish up his Brutalizer. When he died, he went back, picked up the Brutalizer, but he's also 40 CS behind. He's falling behind in levels. He's level 7, Ari's level 9. He's not going to be able to 1v1 her right now. He's going to have to hope for her to be out of position and for Mundo to get a little bit more on top of his ganks. He had that great early gank top lane, picked up first blood, but he did not really capitalize on that momentum. He's got his oracles now rolling. Actually, the naked oracles, he picked up boots and a ruby crystal. Didn't really pick up a GP10, so he needs to be making money off these oracles. And thankfully, this is where the ward coverage of Magnum Opus is going to pay off for Unfadable, because Magnum wards all the time. They ward everything they can, and he's just going to go around, he's going to clean up. He wants all those wards, and actually we see up top, prepping for a dive on Malphite, and I think Mundo wants to dive this. And I don't know if they're so far ahead that they're going to be able to dive that. Though the only thing that Malphite has going for him is the fact that his ultimate's on cooldown. And no, he's not going to be able to do nearly enough damage to stay relevant. But he is keeping it close and going to get a few turret hits off on Elise, but just not enough to finish it up. It looked like Ari wanted to come down, but Talon was mirroring her. It might have gone south, when they're both running up the river together. Actually, Taric popping his ultimate, and after getting Ezreal hooked into the turret, he's going to flash back out, and nothing's going to come of that. They're making moves now towards the blue buff of Unfadable Gaming. They're on point when it comes to the buffs. There's not a whole lot that anyone can do. Magnum Opus knows these buff timers. They know when the jungle's coming through. And actually, Ari now jumping deep in, and immediately Ezreal picks up a kill on the Blitzcrank. Just bursts right through his passive shield. And now they're going to pick up a dragon off this? No, they're not going to pick up a dragon. It looks like they might be setting up, expecting someone to think they're going for dragon. Actually, Ezreal might get caught out now down in bot lane by Mundo. Mundo with his oracles, but he misses his first cleaver. But I don't think Ezreal realizes that Elise is right around the corner. If he knew, I don't think he'd be going as hard in the paint when it comes to something like that. They're pinging for him to fall back, but he's staying in there. That comes down to another communication thing. That might not kill them in the long run, but it definitely does show that maybe Magnum Opus is getting a little bit too comfortable with how the game is going, and they might be taking risks they don't need to be taking. And as long as Unfadable can stay on top of their game, keep things close, and just wait for something like that to happen again, they're not out of this. I mean, we're at 14.5 minutes. It's 4 kills all, only 2.5k gold lead, and a turret up. They're going to pick up a dragon right here. It's going to push it up to 3.5k gold lead for Magnum. But this is not an unwinnable game in any sense of the word. You can see Elise is only getting stronger. She's doing a ton of damage right now. She's got the Haunting Guys. She's got her Magic Pen Boots, Double Dorns, and she's warding. She's warding and she's farming. She's just barely beating out Malphite by 8 CS. Malphite, just like earlier when we saw Malphite mid, he's going for that Chalice. I think he's going to be going more for a lane sustain type thing where he's able to spam Qs without too many issues at all. And actually Magnum's going to go ahead and have Malphite tank a couple turret shots, and they're going to take a mid turret. So the gold lead is actually now going to go to about 4.3k in Magnum's favor with 2 turrets down. Still tied 4-all for kills. And see, here you see Elise, and it's really interesting that Unfadable Gaming sat on this Elise pick for so long, because she is absolutely doing work right now. To the point that Malphite does not even want to come out from underneath this turret to farm creeps. That's how far behind he is right now. And she's just going to straight up dive with an Ignite on. He's going to have to ult away, and he's going to just barely get out of there in time. However, there is a counter gank coming. Ahri and Skarner are there. Both dropped their ults on top of... actually, no, just Skarner ulted. He dropped that Impale on top of Elise to lock him down. Tarek comes through the mid lane, drops a Dazzle down on top of Talon. Talon's going to die, finally, to the ult from Ahri. And they're just firing on all cylinders right now. Magnum Opus, I don't think that they wanted those first 2 kills to happen on Malphite up top, and they're going to make him pay for it. They're going to come out, and they're dominating in every aspect of this game so far. And this game is not over yet, but if Unfadable does not kind of pull themselves together, it's going to be a very, very long series, or rather a short series for them. But they need to work on some standard comps. They need to work on their timing. Their ward coverage has been great all game. Their ward clearing, the Mundo with that early Oracles, was a great move on their part, especially against a team like Magnum. The problem is Magnum is pushing all over the place, and because they're ahead in lane, I mean, you can look at bot lane. Ezreal has 70 CS on top of Corki. We're at 17 minutes in, and he's at 100. He's just shy of 170 CS. Right now, Corki, or rather Ezreal, is so far ahead, there is not a whole lot that Corki can do to him 1v1. Ezreal finished his Triforce already. He only has his first set of boots. Lucky for Unfadable, they were sitting right on top of a ward right there, so they knew where they were. In mid lane, you can see 159 CS to 97 CS. There's another 60 CS gap for Ahri. She already has a death cap complete. Again, neither of these, actually only one champ on Magnum Opus has their tier 2 boots completed. They're really relying on their damaging abilities, but I find it interesting that they have so much mobility, and they're so just all around the map, and they don't even have their tier 2 boots completed. But as you can see, Malphite and Ahri pushing up top, trying to keep Elise on her heels. They cannot let her get any more kills. Elise is getting strong. She's 4-1. She's really the only chance that Unfadable Gaming has in pulling this game out. And straight away, she can't hold a turret up against that Ahri. Ahri is way too far ahead right now, and they took that turret uncontested. And actually, Skarner looked like he wanted to go in on Mundo, but saw Blitzcrank and Corki behind him and decided that was probably not for the best. We're probably going to be seeing another fight. Nope, they already took their blue buff. Mundo is coming in, though, and I don't know if he wants to engage this. It's not going to go well for Unfadable if they do decide to do that. As you can see, Ezreal is just so far ahead. Malphite ult coming through. There is not a whole lot that anyone can do to stop Magnum Opus. They are just completely mechanical and pushing through on their objectives. They kind of got ahead of themselves a little bit, took some chances they didn't need to take, and it bit them in the butt. They got down a couple kills, or a couple deaths, but now they kind of locked things in, they tightened up their shot group, and they're really, really just pushing forward. I mean, They're sub 20 minutes, and they're already threatening an inhibitor turret. And there's nobody on Unfadable Gaming that can really have an answer for this push. They're going to walk away from this having a naked inhibitor. And 20 minutes into the game, and you already have an inhibitor exposed. This is not going well at all for Unfadable. And actually, there's GG's come out, and that's going to be a surrender. So game 1 of this 5-game series does go to Magnum.